Good afternoon, happy stampers. How's everybody doing this afternoon? Welcome to my happy stamping studio. And today we're going back to the basics. So I'd like to welcome all my live viewers on YouTube and on Facebook and those watching on replay. Please say hello, and so I know you're here, and comment whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube. I do reply to all comments, and let me know how you like the project or if you have any questions. Oops, sorry, I had my phone ready and it just went off. So I'm an independent demonstrator here in the United States. Oops, sorry. This is not, just checking to make sure I am live, and I am. So I am streaming on StreamYard, so you do need to give permission to StreamYard to post your comments so I can see what you're saying and see when you come on. I want to say hello to you. Once again, I'm a independent demonstrator here in the United States. I do have an online store, and I am also the team leader of the Happy Stampers and Ink team. If you ever consider joining our team and becoming a demonstrator, whether it's for the discount or to run a business, please contact me. I'd love to chat with you and see what your goals are. So today we're going back to the basics. We're using stamps, ink, paper, and a punch. So these are some of the basic tools for those that don't have a lot of tools, that are beginning stampers or those that are veteran stampers. We are also learning a special layout today, and I'm going to do all my cutting and scoring on today's live so you can see how to go about it. And I'll explain some reasons why I do what I do when I'm doing it, whether it's paper cutting or stamping, and also give you tips along the way. So what do you say? Let's get started. Okay, so as you can see, I need to adjust this just up just a little bit. Oh, it's not going to stay. Let me loosen this just a little bit. I had it all tuned in before I went live, and then you're just getting my head. Okay, so I am using the stamp set Hello Ladybug. It's found on page 30 of our annual catalog. And this has a coordinating stamp, and it's found on page 153 of the annual catalog. So here's the stamp set. It's a set of 15 stamps. It's got verses in it, as well as a bunch of different stamps. And you don't even have to use the ladybug. You should just use the daisy flower, which also has a coordinating punch with it. So how fun is that? Double whammy with this stamp set. We are going to be using the ladybug stamp today, or punch today. Okay, so I'll move this out of the way. I will often go to designer series papers and find something that coordinates or I want to use for my project. Today I've chosen the Happy Forest Friends, which is a 12 by 12 designer series paper. The coordinating colors are Basic Gray, Blushing Bride, Calypso Coral, Mossy Meadow, Old Olive, Sahara Sand, Smoky Slate, Soft Suede, and So Saffron. Now you won't find all these colors in each design, but you will find them throughout the pack of paper. This is the piece that we are going to be using today. And I just love these mushrooms, and I've been concentrating on fall projects this year or this week. And you know, it seems like the end of August and September, ladybugs are abundant. So I thought that's so fitting. You know, September begins fall, let's do the ladybugs. Like I said, this is double-sided designer series paper. So you've got this on one side, the mushrooms, and then you've got this coordinating paper on the back. And we're using both sides of that paper. Then we have this nice one with leaves in it. It's really fall-like, and I could even use this one if I wanted. In fact, you know what? I think I'm going to change things up. No, I already have my papers chosen. We are not going to use this one, but this is another one that you could use for today's project. And here is the background for that. Now this does coordinate with another stamp set that is in the catalog, but I've chosen not to use that stamp set. And this one's got some cute bears and fox and birds, a little owl in it, and it's got the mushrooms also. I'm going to flip that over, and it has got a very similar paper as on the back of the mushrooms, except you may notice that on the mushrooms the design is going horizontal, and on this one they're going on a diagonal. And this one I am loving. I especially love these little mushrooms across the bottom of the page. This would be great for a scrapbook page because you could accent with the colors that are in down here. I can see this doing one of these for when we go camping. And here's the back. It's got a bunch of green with ferns on it. And then this one is just adorable. It's a scene. I can see using this for a trip if you go to the mountains or to a forest, or if you go, like we have an arboretum by us, that this would be fitting. And what I like about this is I cut my paper usually. This one I would cut across like this at 6 inches. And then if you look at this, if I take this panel here, that would fit on a card front. So you could just use this for the card front and just put a sentiment and your card is done. Over here, your background would be trees. You could cut it into 4-inch strips, and then this one would have trees. This one would have the little bear with the bird, and then when you cut it, you'd have part of those birch trees in that one. And then up here, the same thing. You split it into 4-inch pieces, and you have 3 different scenes. So how wonderful is that? Super easy card making. And the back of this one has a So Saffron with, it looks like you've taken ink to it with the blending brush, but it comes like this. So like I said, we're going to be doing all our cutting. I will be using the mushrooms, and I've already cut it, this piece, into 4-inch strips going across so that my mushrooms are up when I cut it. And we're going to be using the back side also, and I'll show you that in just a second. I have a scrap of So Saffron. I have a scrap of Basic White. And, oh, I need another piece of Basic White. Let me grab that. We're probably going to cut that down. So I have another scrap of Basic White that we need to cut down for a panel. And we have our full sheet of cardstock. Now, normally I show you cards that we score at 4 1/4 and cut at 5 1/2. We're doing the opposite today. So we're going to move our cutting blade, which is the dark blade, out of the way. We're going to turn this so that the 11-inch is across the top of our cutter. And now we're going to score it at 5 1/2. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and score it because I love scoring 2 cards at once. Now, I'm going to turn that and I'm going to cut it at 4 1/4. So our card is still going to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I've got a piece for another card. So we have this piece here. We could just fold it in half and design on this. But I want to be able to use this for a special design. So I am actually going to cut part of the front panel off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this. This is going to be my front, and it doesn't matter which you choose. Now, I would not cut more than half of the panel normally. But this time, I'm going to, which would be 2 3/4, because this is 5 1/2. This time, I'm going to cut it at 3 inches. Or no, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and cut it at 2 3/4. Okay, and the reason why I'm choosing to do it at 3 1/4, I am using this cutoff piece for another panel in our card. So now our card actually, cardstock measures 8 1/4 by 4 1/4, and it's already scored at the 5 1/2. So as you can see, when I fold this, I've got only half a card here. This piece, I want to turn this. It's already 2 3/4, and I want to make it 3 1/4. I want to make it a 1/2 inch longer. So our piece now measures 2 3/4 by 3 1/4. And we're going to use that for the front of our card. Now I am going to go to my designer series paper. I do have a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of basic white to go on the inside of the card. So we're going to be putting that right here on the inside of this card. I have a fly flying around bothering me. Sorry if I kind of wave it away. We have this piece that's 2 3/4 by 3 1/4. Okay, now I want to make a panel for this section here, and I know that measures 2 3/4 by 4 1/4. So I want to go a 1/4 inch smaller. So I want to cut this 4 inches by 2 1/2. So my designer series paper is already cut at 4 inches. So I'm going to go in and cut it at 2 1/2. Okay, so that is going to lay onto this panel right here. Next, I want to make a strip that goes along this side of my card, and I want that to be 1 inch. I can just go ahead, put this in, and I always measure to the right because I have more to put a bigger space to put my paper across to make sure that it's cut straight. I want to cut that at 1 inch. We're going to cut that. That leaves me enough for some more card fronts. And we're going to use this side. And I still need another piece. Sorry about that. So now I need a piece to fit onto this piece. Remembering that it's 2 3/4 by 3 1/4. Right? Yeah, 3 1/4. So I want to cut it at 2 1/2. No, I want to cut it at 3 inches this way because it doesn't matter. Sorry, 2 1/2. I was thinking my mushrooms were going to matter, and it doesn't. 2 1/2 by 3. Now, my pattern is going to go in the opposite way, and it doesn't bother me, but it's going to match that other pattern, and it's going to give it more interest. So those little V's are going sideways, whereas these are going to go up and down. And like I said, it's really not going to matter. Now, I want a piece of basic white cardstock on this piece. So once again, this measures 3 inches by 2 1/2 inches. So I am going to want to do a smaller piece than that. So I am going to go actually a full half. Now I'm going to go 1 3/4. Is that right? Wait a minute. I have to, I can't think. 2 1/4. Sorry. Actually, I'm going to go a 1/2 inch smaller. So I'm going to go 2 inches. And this measures 3 1/4 or 3 inches. So I'm going to go by 2 1/2 inches. Is that right? Yes. Just want to double check. It doesn't hurt to double check, even though I have some more basic white. So that's just going to form a square. And so we have a frame around that. So we have all our pieces. So now we're going to do some stamping. Okay, so I normally would cut a strip out of the leftover piece, but I have some scraps of So Saffron and basic white. So we're going to use those. I'm going to start, I'm going to punch out the body of my ladybug out of the, will it fit this way? Yes. Oops, I have some green in there. Out of the So Saffron. I know ladybugs are normally black and red. So we have that. Okay. But I want to stick with the color palette that I'm using. And you're going to see it works. Now we're going to reach for our stamps. And I want to stamp our wings. So I am going to grab some wings. Oh, I have some pieces. I've made bumblebees out of this. So we have 2 pieces to the wings. So it's a double stamp, 2 times stamping. And we have our wings and the dots. And these dots, when you stamp them onto the wings, they match up with those little dots that are on the wings. So that makes it super easy to stamp. So we're going to take a piece of basic white, grab a couple blocks, mount those on. And now our colors are Calypso Coral and Sahara Sand. So those are the colors that I am going to use for our ladybug. So I am going to stamp the wings in the Calypso Coral. Now, here's a tip. Be aware of which way your punch goes when you stamp it. So I could stamp it like this, and I probably wouldn't get quite two out of here, or I could stamp this way and then punch it that way and not going into there. Now, so I want to stamp with the wing tips to the inside of my card. So I'm going to go ahead and ink this up. And that helps you out because sometimes the stamp, it does matter which way you punch it out because sometimes you can't fit your paper in there. Especially if I were to stamp this in the middle, I'd have a tough time punching it out. So be aware of that. Okay, next I'm going to grab my Sahara Sand and I am going to get the little dots. So let's do this right here. And like I said, all we have to do is line those up. It's whiter at the bottom. There is the circles. Now you're going to be able to see that really good through this photopolymer stamp. And we're just going to stamp right like that. Okay, now it is a little bit darker right now. It will lighten up. Not worried about that. Okay, and we are going to punch. Now you do have a little bit of a white border around this. If that bothers you, you could take a sponge or a sponge dauber and Calypso Coral ink and sponge around it, but I don't mind that white, especially since we are going to be on the Sahara Sand. So we're going to place that right onto there. Okay, but I want the antennae to be darker. So I am going to grab my Sahara Sand, not my Sahara Sand, my soft suede Stampin' Write marker. And I don't have a piece, let me see, grab a piece of scrap paper here to color on. So I'm just going to take my marker and I'm going to color those antennae with the brush tip. Now that's what I like about our Stampin' Write markers. We have a brush tip and we have a fine tip. When you're using the brush tip, you're going to notice that I'm not coloring like this. I'm actually coloring on the side of the brush tip. Now, when we talked about markers in an earlier class, I explained that. When I get close to here, I'm coloring it on the side and just taking that tip and going along that line. So we have those dark antennae. So they are going to really stand out. Okay, so got that so far. So let's start putting our card together. Like I said, I'm going to layer these. I did notice that some of my edges, since I cut the paper both ways, are standing up. So we're just going to take our bone folder and rub those edges. That's going to flatten them down and they won't be rolled up. And what I mean by rolled up is when you cut, the blade kind of pushes the paper down as it cuts, but by doing this, it's just flattening that paper back out. And it just makes it more of a crisp edge. Okay, so we're going to take our liquid glue and we're going to put this on. Now I'm going to show you something, and I may change my mind here on which direction I put this. And I think I'm going to, just because this is a long image. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to put on our basic white. Now, if you didn't have the punch, you could just stamp the image onto this basic white and not punch it out. But I like 3D. Okay, and we're going to give that a little rub. Okay, so now let's go to our card base and our other pieces. So I have this piece here, and like I said, this is going to go into this smaller section. So we are going to go ahead, and I want the mushrooms sticking out or showing on this piece. And it really wouldn't matter. I could do either one. I like the two patterns. I love mixing patterns. Okay, we're going to give that a rub. On this piece that goes on the inside, we are going to stamp the entire the ladybug. We are going to cut the wings out, but we're going to stamp the ladybug on the inside. We're not going to punch that out. So we want to go back to our Sahara sand, ink that up. Now, I don't want to have to try to color those antennae, so I'm going to take my Stampin' Write marker. Now, because the Sahara sand is lighter than my soft suede, I don't have to wipe that off. Some people do wipe it off, but I'm just going to color on the side of my marker and color those antennae. So when I stamp it, they are going to be soft suede. Okay, I'm going to give it a huff, and I am going to put this right down here in this corner, just like that. Okay, so we've got that. Now I'm going to take that scrap of basic white again. I'm going to stamp my wings. Once again, knowing that the wing tips need to be towards the inside. Stamp that. Get those dots and go over those white dots and press down. Okay, so we've got that. Now we're going to punch this out here, and we're going to apply those onto that ladybug on the inside. Now, it's not necessary to punch it out. The front I want more 3D. The inside, since we're doing 3D, you don't want 3D. So we're going to go ahead, take these wings, and glue them on. Okay, so we're going to put those right there. Now, I should have stamped it over a little bit more, but I do have a 1/4 or 1/8 inch lip going around the outside. I can shift it over a little bit, but I just want to give you another tip. If you stamp, and I didn't have a foam piece underneath my photopolymer stamp, so I'm going to take my blender pen, and I am just going to take it and color over this a little bit. If I don't want to pick up much ink, because you will be able to tell, take a little bit of ink there and just kind of dab it, and that's going to give kind of a shadow, and just go over the entire thing. Now that's a little bit wet, so it's going to a little bit darker right now. To clean off my blender pen, I just wipe it until it comes clean. And as you can see, I didn't have much ink on there, so it came clean right away. Okay, so now I want to pick a verse. And in this stamp set, you can bug me anytime, my friend, hello, it's a good day, or may your greatest wish come true. I'm going to put on the front of my card, hello, and I'm going to put, you can bug me anytime. I might put hello, my friend. Depends on if I have room. So I'm going to put, you can bug me anytime on the inside. And I believe that's what this is. You can bug me anytime. Let's get a block. Now this does fit right here onto our G block. Okay, now I am going to go into the soft suede here, and I am going to stamp this on the inside. Now I know, um, now I'm going to wait to stamp this because I want to give you another little hint. We're going to go ahead and put this together. So I usually don't stamp the verse until I have my card not put together so I can use both sides if I have an opportunity. So we're going to go ahead and put this on the inside. Let's grab our liquid glue. Okay, we're going to put that on. Let's get this on. Now when we place this, we want to make sure that that wing does not interfere with our score line. So we're going to go to the right and only have a very small reveal over on that side. I didn't consider my wings when I stamped that. Now, you remember that other piece of designer series paper that was 1 inch? This is where we're going to adhere it. We're going to go ahead and put this down here, and we're going to adhere it all the way to this edge. Now, I'm going to leave a little bit of white. I think that's going to bring that edge to visually, your eye will think that that's a 1/8 of an inch. So that folds nicely. So that's our card so far. Now, this is where you can decide, do I want to put this way? Or do I want to put it this way? That's going to depend on the image that you're going to be putting on, or this, in this case, our stamped image, or your stamped image. So you can do it either way, and it's going to look nice. Now, if I were to do it this way, which we're going to do, I'm going to leave an even reveal between the top and the side. So that kind of makes a half frame around this part. So I know I want to put it this way. So I am going to place my ladybug for right now. Now, like I said, I am going to put hello, and I want a small block, and we want our soft suede. I'm going to do my hello up in that corner, and then I am going to do my friend, whoops, right here, place it on my block, and stamp it in this corner. So that's helping to fill out that space. I'm going to grab my hello stamp and put it on my block so I don't lose it. It's real easy to lose those little ones. Okay, so I am going to take my ladybug, and I want to do it 3D. So I want to use my Stampin' Dimensionals. Now, I just love punches. They help making cards fast and simple. And now, you had the option. You could stamp this image out of basic white if you didn't have Sahara sand, and then you could punch it out. And it would give you a little bit different effect than we have here. Oops. Let me grab my Take Your Pick tool. Switch that around. Okay, let's get those chads off of there. I'm going to go ahead and place this on here, just like that. Now this, your wings don't have to be 3D because you've already got this 3D. I recommend putting your wings on with 2 glue dots. And how I do that is I just take my paper, press on that glue dot, and it comes right off. This side, I'm going to take that glue dot, put it right there, and it comes right off. So you see my 2 glue dots. I'm not gluing all the way down because I don't want them to be flat. They're going to be 3D without having to pop them up. Isn't that cute? Just love that. Okay, so now here's another tip. I'm going to place this on about where I want it. When I put my adhesive on, I'm just going to put my adhesive on the back on this side, and then instead of guessing on the back here, I'm actually going to run it right along this edge, not real close because I don't want that glue to come off that edge. And then on this one, I want to go all the way up to bottom, and you can do it twice if you want. Just kind of like that. Okay, before I place it down, I'm going to put this side down, take a look at my reveal, see where it's about even. Okay. Now you would have two options here when doing your sentiment. I could have done it first and made sure I covered it up with this piece, or you could do like I'm doing, and I know that I have a 1/2 inch reveal, so I know that I just have to stay at least 3/4 of an inch away from that right side. So I'm going to put this right here. Stamp straight up and down, even pressure, and there we go. So that is our card for today. Isn't that adorable? And you know, it could be, actually this could be for spring, fall, or summer. But this ladybug and this paper makes me so happy, and I hope it makes you happy too. So that is a little bit about punches today. I hope you enjoyed it with a special layout and a special cut. I hope you learned a little bit about cutting and figuring all this out here. But look at that card. Isn't it cute? I just love it. So please comment and let me know. Share this with your friends because I'm sure that they would love to see this card and learn some ideas too and some tips. And until next time, you guys, happy stamping!